Guys, let me know in the comment section. Should Liverpool be moving on Cody Gakpo, man? That has been the talk for the last couple of weeks. Obviously, we know with the interest that Spurs have at this current moment in time, especially Roberto De Zerbi and the summer signings that they've made. They're looking to add Cody Gakpo to their ranks. Should Liverpool, be selling, with the attacking options that they currently have, even if they do get in, a Bradley Barcola or in buy, is that enough to go into the season with? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, people. We're going to rap about this Cody Gakpo situation. All right. So as I said before, obviously, Spurs, it seems like they're still interested, right? It doesn't look like that interest is going away. And I actually think it's gonna really come down to Cody Gakpo as to what does he want to do. I don't know if Liverpool are going to drive a hard bargain. I don't know what the price looks like for a Cody Gakpo, even in today's market. There's a loads of different players moving for crazy amounts of money. So it's going to be a bit tricky to kind of understand where Cody Gakpo kind of fits into this, in today's kind of market. Is it a 70 million pounds? Is it a 80 million pounds? Is he 100? I have no idea, what that looks like. I don't know how long he's got left in his contract, but it's definitely, a player who is sparking interest. And I think he's had interest from other clubs before. I feel like Bayern Munich, before they bought Luis Diaz, they definitely wanted, a Cody Gakpo. I actually think he was their first choice. But when that didn't look like it was going to materialize, I felt like the Luis Diaz deal was easy for Liverpool because of his age, and maybe the contract that he wanted. Cody Gakpo, listen, they've given him a new deal. They've given him a new deal. For them, it was probably, if you're not going to stump up, a large amount of money, then doesn't really, we don't really need to, let him go. And, Liverpool could potentially do with a player, like him. So, yeah, the interest with Spurs, it's still there. Like I said, whether or not that materializes in a formal bid, I have no idea. It's definitely one to watch. And I think it's been a conversation throughout the summer kind of thing. And I do think people have been changing their minds, quite a bit. Some people, at the beginning, it was like, no, got to get rid of him, need this player, need that player. As the preseason has kind of gone on, and especially with the fact that Liverpool haven't been, really active in the window, haven't got in, other than Victor Munoz, haven't got in any other attacking, player that I know. Bradley Barcola, I know Mbai are two players that Liverpool obviously are looking at. But at this time of this video, the 18th of August, Liverpool still haven't gotten any other reinforcements, and the season is starting very, very soon. So they're definitely very, very, very much underprepared, heading into the season. So would it make sense to let a player like Cody Gakpo go? Or do people want to keep it? Like, I would love to know. Like, I really do want to know, like, where is everybody's heads at, when it does come to, Cody Gakpo. Obviously, this will be the depth of Liverpool, if he were to stay, and Liverpool obviously do get in, and by, probably taking out, I would say Florian Wirtz, but he's a part of the attacking entourage. So you obviously got Isak, Gakpo, Ekatike, we know is injured. Victor Munoz obviously just joined. Bradley Barcola, if he joins, and Rio Engamoa. I think a lot of the conversation, I think, that surrounds Cody Gakpo is more, what would his role be? Do you know what I mean? Like, listen, whether you rate him, whether you don't rate him, I'm not a particular fan of his, if I'm being super honest with you. So if he were to leave, I don't think it's going to hinder Liverpool, but it also needs to be done quite smart. And I think it's the same thing with the Luis Diaz situation that Liverpool had, last season. It wasn't the fact that you got rid of Diaz. I didn't really care. Again, like, Diaz having an amazing season with Bayern Munich, it's just one of those kind of things. You take the rough with the smooth, when it comes to football. But it was the not replacing him. You had to have brought in. You had to have, brought someone in. And the fact that you didn't do that, that's what then left me more frustrated. It wasn't the fact that Diaz had gone. It was just, okay, so are you going to bring someone in? Is it going to be, another player? Or are you going to play Rio more, like a lot more than he actually did? In the end, you kind of almost did neither, kind of thing. You didn't bring anybody in. You didn't really play Rio that much until the back end, of the season, which then creates its own problems, kind of thing, especially when you've got a player who's out of form and maybe does need to just step out of the limelight. You didn't really do that last season. So, there was a problem with that. So this season, when you're looking at this, obviously, Isak, we don't know in terms of his fitness. We know he picks up an injury. How long is that injury going to keep him out for? We don't know, right? So he's kind of got a question mark in terms of his availability, within the season. Ekatike, we know, isn't going to be around until roughly, I would say about January until he's really, playing. Victor Munoz, obviously fresh, fit, ready to kind of go. But again, a new signing. How does that, work in terms of how does he acclimatize, to the Premier League? Bradley Barcola, even if he does come in, again, another player who's going to have to acclimatize, to the Premier League. Rio and Gamoa, very inexperienced, probably the most inexperienced player on, in that kind of cohort. And then obviously if you add in Mbaye as well, again, Rio would still be, the least inexperienced. But that's absolutely fine because as long as you've got other players. So do we feel that Liverpool have enough? Let's just say you go with these players here, including Bradley Barcola. I'm not going to include Mbaye just yet, but let's include Bradley Barcola. Do you then say it's fine to let a Cody Gakpo go? So if you do let Cody Gakpo go, on the left-hand side, in terms of actual left wingers, right, you'd have obviously Rio and Gamoa, Bradley Barcola. That's probably about it in terms of actual left wingers. Now, then you're looking at Isak likes to pull out wide to the left. Ekatike likes to pull out wide to the left. Victor Munoz can obviously play there. But you've got two players there. So it's like you've already got the two players. So is it, do you know what I mean? It's like, okay, if Cody Gakpo were to stay, and by the way, I'm all for having depth, but the depth does need to be quality and it needs to make sense, right? If obviously Cody Gakpo were to stay, as an example, you would then have Cody Gakpo, Bradley Barcola, and then obviously Rio and Gamoa, with Victor Munoz being able to also play, off that left hand side. So it really just depends on how, Iraola, first of all, sees the depth. Does he feel that he needs to have that other player in there? Cody Gakpo is also a player who can play through the middle. I'm not totally convinced, but he can play through the middle. That much I do know, right? So you have that option. I've always said Liverpool are quite scarce in the attack position in terms of the striker. Yes, I know Ekatike will come back, but if I'm being honest, I'm writing off the entire season because I just feel that taking him a while to get back into the swing of things, and it's a lot. It's a lot, kind of thing. I would have preferred if Liverpool had just bought a striker, or you sign a Ferran Torres, someone who can play all across the front three comfortably, kind of thing. So whether whether Liverpool look at a Cody Gakpo in that sense, where it's like, nah, he can be the Ferran Torres, i.e., he can play all across the front three and he's there for emergency kind of situations. If so, then you're better off just keeping him. Like I said, there's no, regardless of how I feel about the player, it also needs to make sense, because if it doesn't make sense, you're just left in a catch-22, unless Liverpool have looked at the Kieran Morrisons, I don't know, the Kumases that everyone keeps ranting and raving about. Unless they look at those kind of players and they think, oh, okay, nah, it's, you know what, let's use them. If so, then Cody Gakpo leaving is not a problem, because then at least then you understand what it is that you're trying to do. And I think again it goes back to the whole understanding, etc., etc. What is the club trying to do and how are they, trying to kind of do it. I think once you've got that level of understanding, then yeah, you're kind of good to go, in my personal opinion, right? Obviously, here's like just a little bit of a comparison that I was looking at. So you got Gakpo versus Barcola versus Victor Munoz. I mean, other than the assists, this is obviously per 90 minutes. Other than the assists, obviously he's either second or last between the three the three players. Progressive carries, Munoz has got 92.4. Cody Gakpo at 68.4, less than Bradley Barcola as well. Dribbles completed, again, Victor Munoz with 89.3. Cody Gakpo with 68.9. Non-penalty goals, 98.1. Let's go to key passes. You've got Bradley Barcola at 93.3. Cody Gakpo in second with 67. With Victor Munoz with 36.6. You can tell Victor Munoz is the dribbler. If you look at the three players, he is the dribbler, right, in the team. You then got Barcola, I look at as more the goal scorer of the three. Gakpo, I feel probably is maybe in between both. He's not a goal scorer. He's not really a dribbler. Yeah, I feel like he's kind of, if you look at his numbers and where he kind of ranks between the three players, I feel like he almost fits into both kind of modes. Again, is that a player that you feel? I'm only just trying to bring this question to you guys. You guys let me know, in terms of how you feel in regards to, Cody Gakpo, whether you believe it, Liverpool should just keep him, in terms of the actual depth. If they do let him go, what does that depth now look like? Again, I guess it will depend on, who they kind of bring in. Since he's been in the Premier League, he's played 127 games, 32 goals, and only 18 assists. Is that enough? I don't really know. I think when I was looking at his goal scoring record, so 2 seasons out of the 4 that he's been here. Obviously, remember the first season he came in Jan, so we can say 3.5 seasons. But yeah, in the 3.5 seasons that he's obviously been here, he has scored double figures twice. Obviously, back-to-back seasons, 23, 24, and 24, 25. Last season he only got 9 goals. Wow, that's crazy. So yeah, again, it just kind of depends on how you look at it. 180 games for, I think it's 180 games for Liverpool, 50 goals. That doesn't sound too bad from a winger, from a guy who maybe doesn't play all the time. Is that something that Liverpool should keep? Also, with the experience, with all the changes, there's a lot. There's a lot. So again, it all depends. Me personally, I would have sold ages ago, but I would have already have tried to, well, not even tried. I would have patterned another striker and these wingers a long time ago, and I wouldn't be going for maybe the wingers that Liverpool are going for. So yeah, back then I probably would have, but as we're getting closer and closer to the start of the season, I'm like, I don't really know if it's really making sense if you sell him now, unless you've already got the Barcola and everything already done. But Liverpool work quite backwards, so I don't know. I don't know. I am caught in almost 2 minds. Again, I don't really highly rate him, but it's not even really about that. Right now, at this specific moment in time, it's just more about, does it make sense to whatever it is you're trying to do? If you let him go, I ain't got no beef with you letting him go. He's not that type of player. What I do have beef with is, oh, you didn't bring nobody in, or you only brought in the one guy. So you're almost left in the exact same position, just with different personnel. I don't know. I don't know, man. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section, people. How do you feel about Cody Gakpo? Should he stay? Should he go? Should Liverpool be doing more to try and keep him? Or should we just let him go? And if so, who is the players or who are the players to replace him? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, people. I'll catch you real soon.